Welcome to Autism in Black Live. We are rooted in advocacy, not fear, rooted in truth, not stigma. Here, we center Black autistic voices, uplift Black families, and build spaces that are affirming, unapologetic, and full of joy. Whether you are a parent, professional, or autistic adult, this is your space. Together, we break down barriers and build up community. So grab your seat at the table. We're just getting started. Happy Thursday, beautiful people. I am Maria Davis Pierre. I am the CEO and founder of Autism in Black, here with my husband.
What's going on, everybody? It's truly Dr. Maria Pierre, the co-founder of Autism in Black. What's going on, AIB community?
Yes, and we are here for episode 6 of the Vision to Venue series, where we're giving you all of the behind the scenes look at what it takes to build the Autism in Black conference and take it from our vision to venue, in-person and virtual experience happening April 17th through the 19th. And you can check out the registration page and secure your ticket by going to the links that's scrolling across the page. Today, we are focusing on marketing.
Before we do that, remember, y'all, this series is on our YouTube page. The goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this series. She's at like 559 right now, I think.
Oh, we went up.
Let's get it to 1,000, y'all. We want to so in the link, hit her YouTube page up. Make sure you subscribe, and then get to watching. All right, go ahead.
And that's a good setup for marketing, because that is what marketing is all about. And that is why Dr. Barry leads the marketing of AIB, and I just do the training and the teachings and such, because that's what my personality is, and I'm trying to get the education out there. But I can't get the education out there if people don't know we exist, right?
I think it's important to know. We know a lot of amazing, smart people that no one knows, right? That are their best secret fan, because they're not out there, because they're not doing what they need to do to let the world know, right? Some out of fear, some out of just work. But it's all the same. Like, yeah, you can be amazing at what you do, but if no one knows you, it don't matter.
Exactly. So I'm going to let Dr. Barry take over, and we're going to kind of give some of the history of the branding behind Autism in Black. And then, as we progress in weeks, you'll hear a little bit more each Thursday in regards to marketing. So the stage is yours.
Yeah, no, I think it's important, especially we'll get into definitely, kind of specifics and whatnot, but I think it's just important of understanding why it's important to kind of market yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where I know, especially in the beginning, it was very tough for Maria, because you don't want to sound salesy, right? You don't want to necessarily put yourself out there, because again, once you put yourself out there, we see it with celebrities all the time. Once you put yourself out there to the public responds in a way, right? And sometimes not in a way we like. So it's just one of those things where understanding the importance of getting out there, it was definitely something fundamental we had to work on from the beginning, right? Like you don't get to this point in year 8 or year 9 of just being in year 6 of having a conference without recognizing, like, all right, I got to get myself out there. And even though we're going into year 9, about to walk into year 10, we still have people say, I did not even know y'all was around, which is amazing to me, because that lets me know, okay, I still got some work to do, right? So I think it is important to kind of understand, this conception that, you start out as this completed, project that could put on, 3 summits, that could put on conferences, that can be keynote speaking. There's definitely work that it takes to get there, right? like, and it's not necessary from an information standpoint, like, oh, I had to know a lot more about, being Black and autistic. No, that wasn't the case. It was, I had to understand that I need more and more people to know, what I do, right? So what would you say, especially kind of in the beginning, was some of your, holdups and challenges, as we were, kind of growing from just an org of 2 people to, having 20,000 people follow you on like Instagram or something?
I think one of the hardest challenges for me is that I am a private person per se. I don't like to show. I like to respect my kids' boundaries. I don't like them to be shown on my social media too much. I don't like my private life to be shown on social media too much because I don't want people's opinions of what I do in my home. And I think that I had to get out of my head a lot of that. I still don't show a lot of the private side, but y'all love that because anytime y'all see the kids or see some of that, those are usually gets the most likes. But I really like to keep that separate from my professional of what I do here with Autism in Black, and trying to find a balance has always been the difficult part. I also really prefer just to do the educational aspect. I, like Dr. Berry says, I don't like to sound salesy. I don't want to seem like I am trying to scheme and scam. That's my fear. So I really like to educate and train. And when I have to come on and do lives for marketing, that is so difficult for me because I know what it's like to see people who do the salesy scams. And it's like, oh, I don't want to listen to them. So I always have that in the back of my head. And that's one of my fears. So I think overcoming a lot of those fears to do the marketing is still very difficult for me.
Yeah, and I think especially, and especially I was obviously on social media a lot more in earlier, a lot earlier than you, especially with what I do with the lunch and learn and the lives and whatnot, right? So it was a little bit, and again, but that obviously that didn't start out. Shout out to Dr. Dre on Birch. He was my first mastermind coach, right? Who like really pushed us out there to say, hey man, if you're gonna like let people know who you are, like you gotta let people know who you are. It's just one of those things where like it makes sense in the grand scheme of things. So I think that was like he made it easier to kind of push yourself out there. And obviously that was like our goal, right? Just kind of instilling that level of confidence. Because a lot of times when you are trying to work yourself out into the general public, you have this almost like imposter syndrome. Like, okay, I know what I know, but I'm not sure if I know everything. And that was something we even had to get over. Yeah, we're not going to know everything, right? I'm an internist. I'm a physician. I take care of patients every day. I don't know everything. And I have no problem telling my patients I don't know it all. But what I do know, I'm going to make sure I know. And what I don't know, I'm going to make sure I find the answer. So just as an entrepreneur and those who want to, like my especially my creators, to put themselves out there, you got to understand that there's always someone who's going to be like, I don't like what this person just said, regardless. Like regardless of what you could say, I like waffles. There's gonna be someone out there that says I hate waffles. Why did you bring up waffles? Like that's just the reality that it is, especially in this time with social media. So it's definitely important, just kind of getting over that mental hump, which a lot of people don't, right? Like it sounds easy, but a lot of people, I got a lot of smart friends who will not do social media for the simple fact that they do not want to have to read those comments or hear those comments. Like they don't want no parts of that. So for them, they're like, nope, that's not for me. So it's definitely not some. It's definitely easier said than done, and definitely something that typically has to be worked on.
Yeah, and I think that's also something that is, still for me is, for people who know me, know my mouth is very slick. And if you come on my page talking out the side of your neck, I feel like I should be able to meet you and match your energy. Dr. Berry is not like that. He will get especially when he starts talking about vaccines and stuff, he gets a lot of hate comments and he just ignores it. And I'm like, I'll be in Dr. Berry's comments fighting for him. Like, y'all not going to talk about my man like this, please. So it's just, he's always telling me, you have to forget it. So much so that actually during conference time, I am not the one checking the comments a lot of times because I have to have a filter in there. So if he sees it before me, he'll do whatever needs to be done before I can see it, because he knows I'm the type that, oh, well, let's go for it. You know, I got some time today. Let's have this back and forth and see how this lands, because you're just not going to come talking slick on my page. So I think I'm still working on not on ignoring those kind of comments and focusing on the great comments that we get, because we do get a lot of them. So I think it's still a growth period that is happening for me, but it's difficult when people are keyboard warriors and saying things that they don't really know what they're talking about. So that's one of the difficult things of social media. And it's also one of the reasons that I really keep our kids off of my page, because that, if you're talking about my kids or my husband, I'm not going to be able to be therapist professional Maria. You gonna get what you get. So it's a real struggle. So I can understand that piece. And then I also have that perfectionism of it needs to be exactly perfect before I can put it out. And then I'll see so many other pages just throwing things out. And I'm like, that's not looking at that. But, and I'm like, well, you know, I just need to put my stuff out there because I know my stuff is good too. So yeah, that perfectionism also holds me back. So I think there is a lot of mindset work when we're talking about that marketing and branding piece, because social media is definitely, it can be very intimidating.
Yeah, you know, I'm glad you talked about especially the aspect of, you know, the perfectionists and, you know, the paralysis that comes from perfectionists. Now, what typically happens, right? And this is, it's one of those things that comes with our, especially those who are educated and going into it, right? Where their training in their education says like hey, I have to work to make sure I get the correct answer. But in social media world, right, in content creation world, your goal is to work and put the information out there, even if you don't have the right answer. So it's a tough dichotomy for a lot of my educators to get over, right? Like, again, I got a lot of educators, a lot of professionals, right, that like, because it's not 100% down the line, they're like, I can't even step there, right? Like, and just that fear alone. But we understand that in business, that's not how business works, right? Regular business doesn't work that way. As well as those who may not come from a professional education background per se, but they're just doing social media, doing content, because they haven't been, I don't want to say brainwashed, but because that hasn't been kind of, screwed into their mind that they have to be correct first and then present. They just go on social media and they just get to talking. Right. And we see this all the time where the stuff that they're saying, especially I see it, especially from a health standpoint, I'm like, where did you get that from? Like, no, that's like, but they're so confident because they don't have that, that mental roadblock that like, oh, I got to be 100% perfect before I say this thing. More importantly, they don't have the roadblock that I got to be actually correct when I say this thing. I just got to feel it. For them, as long as I feel this is the truth, I just say it. And then I press record and then a whole bunch of people share it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's something we're working on over here. Luckily, I have a husband, a partner who is the exact opposite of me. So he does push me out of my comfort zone so much, because honestly, y'all would only see me in that education training aspect if it wasn't for Dr. Berry. So, I mean, he's always way ahead of when we actually put something out. When the podcast came out, Dr. Berry had probably been talking about that for like a year or two. When we finally did the conference, he had been talking about it from some time. So by the time we get to doing something, Dr. Berry has done a lot of talking with me to get to that step, even with the marketing, you know, how we talked about how we brought in Core to be more consistent with the marketing and with people seeing. So, you know, now you see reels, now you see we're, you know, on social media daily. And that also took a lot of the team being like, hey, you know, we need the people to know the information that you know. So how can we can't gatekeep around here and just wait for them to come to an event. You need to be providing it on the platforms as well. So yeah, it's still a work in progress. So for those of you who do have to deal with some of those mental roadblocks, I'm right there with you. Trust me, because it's still, we're going into year 6 of conference, year 9 of business. They still have to talk to me as a team and be like, okay, this is the roadmap of what the marketing landscape is for this event.
Yeah, and I think just, you know, especially with the conversation and just recognizing that, you know, you have to be consistent, right, in what you're doing, right? And again, that's, again, we've been consistent over these years of what we're doing, what we're presenting, and even how we're presenting ourselves, how we want to present ourselves, right? When I have to talk Maria off the ledge, right, I have to say, hey, you know what, that's not necessarily consistent with the brand, right? Like, so understand that even if you have a business, you yourself, whether you're the CEO, whether you're an employee, whether you're whatever, like, you are part of the brand. So you have to recognize that there's a consistency in how the brand needs to show up. There's a consistency how the person you need to show up. Even, and a lot of times, especially with our small content creators, they're one and the same, right? Like, they are the brand, they are the walking mouthpiece. So sometimes they have to, you know, lay off the comments or not comment at all, which I find myself doing. Like, there's a lot of things I can comment on, but I said, you know what? Let me just keep this in a group chat.
He has
Right.
the personality to do so. But I will say he has accommodated me on that, because he knows it's very hard for me to let somebody say something and I don't get to get my get back. So I know if you've watched us years past, you see that some years we do a live where he puts all the comments on the screens and I get to say what I want to say, which is an accommodation rather than sitting and arguing with you in the comments. Now we get to do a live, talk about our conference, and show people what we're actually dealing with. And it works for the marketing, and it works for me to vent and tell people what I want to say.
Yeah, and I think that's especially with, you know, the onus and what the importance is, right? And, you know, when we think about, you know, who Autism in Black serves, right, we understand that there's the end in mind, right? And we always have to think about that, right? There's the end in mind. There is our avatar. There is, you know, that community. There is that person who needs to hear what we're saying, how we're saying it, and it takes effort, right? So it takes a mental effort to say, hey, you know what, I'm not going to let perfection analysis, you know, stop me from recording this. Guess what, you know what, I'm not going to let the fact that I might get a negative comment, you know, stop me from doing this, right? I'm not going to let the fact that I may be a little bit tired today, but I did tell them I was going to put that content out there to stop me from doing this, because at the end of the day, there's someone who can't wait to read that email, who can't wait to read that blog post, who can't wait to, you know, catch the live, right? Like, who, like, there's someone out there who is like this, they're circling their schedule around it. So we don't want to kind of let those people down. So I think that's what's been so beautiful about just kind of this progression. You know, as we continue to move and, you know, work on year number 6 of the conference, is that we understand that it's been our consistency that's got us here more than like we did it 100% correct the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I will say, being a neurodivergent individual, for those of you who don't know, I am autistic and have ADHD. So executive functioning, being burnt out, you know, I deal with that. So we've had to put accommodations within our actual marketing and branding, which I'm sure we'll talk about in further episodes. But a lot of times, I'll just give a little snippet. We do things in batching. So if I'm having an amazing day, we getting some stuff done, right? Because that I know, so that on the days that where I don't have the energy or I can't deal with it, there's still something that's going to be put out. So for my neurodivergent business owners who, we deal with burnout and we deal with executive functioning, we have to build in those accommodations to make sure that, our branding and our messaging and things are still being seen, because the people do need to see us. It's so important that they hear our message, because we know a lot of times they're not including Black autistic individuals in, mainstream media and things of that nature. We have a whole administration who does not care about people with lived experiences. So it's so important that we are getting our branding out there, and that is through the marketing aspect of it.
Yeah, no, I think this is definitely a good segue to kind of, to be continued, because I think, one, just understanding the importance of being consistent, the importance of being yourself, making sure you're the brand, and recognizing who you show up for. I think that's definitely a perfect lesson, for especially for episode 1 of the marketing aspect of it. Right? I know this is episode 6 right now. Yeah, wow, we're moving, y'all. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube page, right? Like link is in the link. Remember, obviously, you're watching this series, right? Because you want to see this in action. Make sure you hit the link so you can get your conference ticket, right? I just realized a couple episodes we were like, I don't think we explicitly said get a conference ticket. Yes, get a conference ticket. Like, get two in person. If you get it in person, get your hotel booked ASAP. Please, before the
room block ends in March.
Okay.
I have to get the exact date and we'll be posting it, but in early March is when the room block discount ends. You'll still be able to book, but it will not be at our discounted rate. So if you are coming in person, April 17th through the 19th here in West Palm Beach, Florida, please book your room through our room block before beginning of March.
Indeed. All right. So again, till tomorrow. Tomorrow's episode what? Tomorrow's
Q&A. We're doing Q&A, and we do the week wrap up. So we talk about what we've discussed this week. This week, with it being our first full week of the Vision to Venue series, was very much of the foundational pieces. Next week, and as we get in, we'll as we further up until April 16th, you will get more into those moving actual pieces. This was very foundational because it does take a foundation to have events like this. So yes, tomorrow is our Q&A and weekly review, which if you have any questions or comments, make sure you are putting them for us to be able to go over. So if you have liked and subscribed on that YouTube channel, put in some of the comments on whichever episode you've watched this week, and put those in the comments, because we do take those so that we can go over them. And I know we had some yesterday that we will answer as well. And for those of you who don't know, it says live, but we have recorded this earlier in the day. So that's why we may not be responding to your comments in real time. If we are actually live at that time, you'll know because we'll say it. But yeah, so this is just also one of those branding and marketing pieces that we'll talk about
definitely
coming up. So yes, tomorrow is Q&A. Put those in the chat. Get your tickets scrolling across the bottom. April 17th through the 19th in West Palm Beach, Florida, or virtually from anywhere you want to be. So get those tickets, and we want to see you April 17th through the 19th, and enjoy your Thursday. And we'll catch you back tomorrow for end of the week wrap up.
All right.